A common problem with thread trimmers is that you get a bunching of the thread at the beginning of the next stitch. So I've got some slow-mo video of the process as it occurs, the problem that I was having, and the solution that I came up with. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm working on my Juki 2810. So it automatically cuts the thread, and it's super handy. First off, let me show you some samples of the type of bunching that I'm talking about. It occurs at the beginning of the stitch on the bottom of the project. So really what we see here are two problems. One is an operator error, and the other is an adjustment of the sewing machine. So let's start with my operator error. Now another aspect of the automatic trimmer is that you do not have a tail from the bobbin coming up through this hole. The tail of the bobbin is being held underneath by the clamp spring. That is holding the bobbin tail. You do still have a needle tail that needs to be tended to. Now that is pretty short and difficult to grab, and I would suggest that it is unnecessary to grab it, but it should be managed. And the way to do that is by putting that thread towards the back. Now when you put your work in like this, put your foot down. The back of the foot now is on top of that thread. So now that thread is being held, pulling against it, and it's holding that thread. The foot is actually holding the thread. It's pressing it down to the bed of the machine. Your bobbin tail is being held over here with your clamp spring, and now the top tail, because you've placed it towards the back, is being held by the foot pressure, by the pressure of the foot. So now we can see that that top thread tail is nice and neat. It's still on top. There's no loop on the top. So that foot was successful in holding that top thread tail. So if you don't address your tail, that's going to get pulled down underneath. The top has got pulled down. So instead what you should do is just move that tail to the back of the machine. Now the foot will hold it. And it'll stay up on top like this. So that's the easy part. But what about the machine is causing the bunching? So we're looking at the hook and bobbin assembly. And right here is the moving knife of the machine. And this is the non-moving knife of the machine. Juki calls that the counter knife and the moving knife. And then right under here, that's difficult to see, is the clamp spring. And what it does is when the knife is in this position after it's moved to the back of the machine and cut the thread, it's holding that thread. See how this thread is going in here, and you can just barely see the tip of it right here, right where that thread is being held at. Let me go ahead and move this moving knife by hand. Okay, that lets go of that. Right here, these two screws are holding the clamp spring. Now there's an adjustment on this clamp spring. If it's not tight enough, it won't grab this tail. So you know whenever you start sewing, you should hold your tails. Well, with an automatic trimmer, it's going to do that for you, at least on the bobbin tail. It's going to hold that tail. That's what that clamp spring's for. It's holding the tail in this position until such time as you begin to sew another stitch, and it'll let go. When this is properly adjusted, as the thread comes out, it'll just knock that thread out of there, just like that. Here you can see that the machine makes 4 stitches before the clamp spring releases the bobbin tail. So let's slow that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one clears it out. Now ideally that clamp spring will release the tail on the first stitch. And so what I found on my machine is this clamp spring was adjusted to the back of this moving knife too tightly, and I needed to move it back to loosen the clamp pressure that it held on the thread. Let's see how that looks. Okay, much better. The thread is released on the first stitch, and the clamp spring still holds the tail when complete. Now on the bottom, this is as good as I've been able to make it. It does occasionally get caught in there, but you can see that it's not much to pull it out, and I really don't think that it's an issue anymore. I think I can live with that. Thanks for watching. Consider becoming a subscriber. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any information on how to improve the situation, leave me a message in the comments. I'd appreciate it.